Welcome, welcome. We are here live and in color on another unknown episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. Welcome to all of you. I am doing well. Let's talk some business of boxing. Let's talk some boxing. We're going to get right into it. This is an open invitation. This is an open panel. Okay, the link is in the chat. Feel free at any point to join the live broadcast. Before we get into our Town Watch check-in, I just want to welcome everyone this evening. If you are joining this viewership for the first time here on this channel, I want to say welcome. Thank you for your viewership. Feel free to subscribe to the channel and like this particular video if you find value in the entertainment and or educational elements involved in tonight's live broadcast. I want to welcome those of you that are in the chat that have acknowledged me. I salute you and thank you for your participation. We look forward to a good but brief show this evening. No point of wasting time. Let's jump right into our Town Watch check-in. As the numbers of viewers are increasing exponentially, slowly but surely. Mr. Pragmatic, I see you in the chat. You are a member of this channel, so I have to welcome you and recognize you. So I acknowledge you, Mr. Prag. Salute. In the description of this video, you may not see it now, but as soon as this broadcast ends, I will post the link in the description of this video for those of you who care to join this channel. You can join this channel and receive exclusive perks. Once you click the link, you will see what those three different tiers of perks are for joining the channel, and I encourage you to do so immediately following this broadcast or even at a later date. If you are watching the replay of this live, I welcome you as well. Let's get into our Town Watch check-in. You know what Town Watch check-in is. If you don't know, and this is your first time viewing the channel, I'm going to tell you exactly what we do here on the Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. We do Town Watch check-ins. I'm going to tell you why first, and so you can understand exactly what it's all about. So how we do our Town Watch check-ins, what we do is we basically go into the chat, right? And what we do in the chat is we explain, right? With just one or two words. Explain. Watch how I use the word explain, because I want everybody to feel welcome. What we do is we explain where we're from, and we explain, or we explain where we're at now, location wise. Why do we explain that in one or two words? I know I use the word explain, but I'm trying to get your attention because it shows that we all experience different things. We're all from all parts of life, all walks of life, and from all locations, right? But we all come to this channel for the same reason, and that is very simply this one reason: because we love the sport of boxing. So even though we're from different parts of the world, we all have one thing in common. We love the sport of boxing. So if you haven't done so already, we're going to do it right now. I'm going to start it off like I always do. And then in the chat, just tell us what city, what state, what island, or what country you either are from or that you are representing right now. I will publicly acknowledge you. This is like our icebreaker. This is how we warm up on this channel. This is how we warm up on the Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. If you have not been exposed to this channel and this is your first time, we welcome you, and you are welcome to engage in the chat and do so accordingly. I'm going to start it off by way of the state of Texas, Arlington to be exact, the Mansfield area. You already know I represent the DFW, but I'm also doing it by way of my hometown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We also have the Metro, Atlanta in the building. Alaska is in the building. Vancouver, Washington is also in the building. We have Philly in the building. Absolutely. The real deal is here. He says I'm from Saudi Arabia. So we got to go ahead and acknowledge and give all respects to Saudi Arabia and everyone there. Love and blessings to you, the real deal. We got my guy, one of my day one supporters, Mike Harrison from Merrillville, Indiana. He's also in the building. Who else we got? All the way from England in the building. The real deal been following me from the beginning. He's another day oneer. I see my guy Omega Red in the chat. Come on and tell us where you from, Omega. Always good to see Omega. Who else we got in here? We come on, drop your location, where you from, or where you are right now. We want to acknowledge you publicly. Port City is in the building. Where we at? Where we at? Uh-oh. Y'all already know. That's why I said to Omega Red, drop that low, because he always drop his location every time he support the channel. Salute to South Carolina in the building. Who else we got here? H-Town is here. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Man, let me tell you something. We have people from all over the world that come and visit this channel and have supported this channel from day one and even in the middle and even just recently. So I want to say to everybody, thank you so very much. No matter where you are from, Portland, Oregon is in the building right now. Come on now. Tell us where you're from, where you're at, what city, state, island, and or country you represent. We want to publicly acknowledge you. Come on, Scotty Dippin. I see you represent my city. Philly is in the building. And every time I see the word Philly on the screen, you know I got to get excited when I see it. And I'm excited right now. Detroit in the house. Yes, indeed. Michigan. Yes. We got them all in here. Man, let me tell y'all, I'm so excited to be here this evening. And I was looking forward to talking about some boxing tonight. And unfortunately, we have some things to talk about that may not be favorable to some because we know in the advertisement of this, I put the thumbnail in there with Deontay Wilder. We have to address that. We are a boxing family, and we have to address even the good, bad, and the ugly of some things that happen inside of the ring and even outside of the ring when it comes to the sport that we all love, the sport of boxing. North Carolina is in the chat. I see you. Richmond, California is here in the chat, in the building. Salute to you. You are all welcome. Come on in. Come on in. We about to get this show popping. Come on in. Who else we got in the building? Come right on in. Come right on in. Yeah, drop the location. We got a few more moments. I know we have one more. Come on in. Come on in. Tell us where you're from, where you at. so I can publicly acknowledge you. Yes, we're all representing the sport of boxing because we love it, right? And we from different parts of the world, but we want to come together as a boxing community, as a boxing family. Yes, indeed. Tell us where you from, where you are. We will publicly acknowledge it. If this is your first time engaging in the chat, if this is your first time joining the live broadcast here, I want to let you know right now you are welcome. Okay, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. I see the numbers of viewers are increasing slowly but surely. Yes, slowly but surely, but it's increasing exponentially. And that's what we like to see. West LA is in the building by way of West Philly. Unadulterated truth. I see you in the chat. Let's get it. Let's go. We got a few more. We got a few more moments before we start this live broadcast. I want to give everybody an opportunity. Y'all know how we do. If you are watching the replay of this live, I welcome you as well. While we're doing the Town Watch check-in, I've been receiving some encouraging words through email by a lot of people that have been supporting me and that joined this channel and even that support the channel who was here on Friday evening, right? And on Friday evening, of course, there was a live debate that I advertised that was going to take place, and that did not happen. Um, you know, I even went back and listened to, that live broadcast in its entirety. And one of the things that, I said on a live broadcast, Chicago is in the house. I see you, Chi-Town. Come on in. Come on in. One of the things that I stated publicly on that live broadcast on Friday evening was that I was kind of disappointed in myself because I wanted to provide you all with, the two E's, right? Education and entertainment. And I always want to step up to the plate and hit a home run, right? And sometimes, we don't hit home runs when we're content creators. We do the best that we can. Some of us, particularly me, I'm including myself when I say we, do the best we can when we're trying to publish and produce content. And, we don't get all the views sometimes. Sometimes our viewerships are low. Sometimes it's really high. Sometimes it's medium. Bottom line is that I always try to come uh, uh, to the live broadcast and even with the published content, especially my lives. I like to make sure that I hit a home run. I like to make sure that you're getting, your money's worth, whether you contribute to the channel or not, because your time is really, really important to you. And I'm sure you should know at this point that your time is very important and valuable to me. So I want to make sure I provide you with education and entertainment. So on Friday night, when the live debate did not occur because there were some issues with myself and the guest who was supposed to, come on to the channel and debate me, um, I was a little, disappointed. Not that the live debate didn't happen. I really didn't really care about that because I already knew what the outcome was going to be on that, and most of you know as well. But the point that I'm making is I want to make sure that when I turn this live off, that I gave y'all my best and that you all learn something about the business of boxing and even get entertained in the process. So I wanted to make sure that I did that. And I was encouraged by some emails, even some text messages, people that watched it live that know me personally, even some comments in the comment section. So I want to salute everybody that reached out to me, whether it be through the comment section, whether it be through email, if you know me personally, whether through a text message or whatever. I want to say publicly, I appreciate your encouragement. Thank you so much. I see another member of the channel in the chat. Every time I see members in my chat, whether you like it or not, I'm going to acknowledge them. And I see Diana. Thank you so much for your support, Diana. Salute to you. Um, uh, uh, um, I want to make sure that everyone knows this. If you're just joining the live broadcast, I want to make sure everyone know this. And if you may have not heard me say it before, even if you did, I'm going to repeat myself. But if you haven't heard me say it before, let me say it right now, all over again, that um, if only one person, just one, it only take one person, I'll tell you this. If only one person learns at least one thing about the business of boxing that you did not know prior to encountering this channel, I promise you, I am extremely satisfied. So I just want you all to know that. I don't want to harp on Friday. Today is a different day. God woke all of us up this morning, and we all have a purpose in life. And if you don't know your purpose, I hope and pray that you find solace in the fact that you still have time to discover your purpose. Now that I said that, let's move right along with the broadcast. I want to say this. If you're watching the replay of this live, I welcome you. If you are not engaged in the chat, but you're watching me right now, that means that you're not engaging in the chat. You're not participating in the chat. No one knows that you are here, but you know that you're here and you're watching me live. I want to say, I welcome you too. And guess who I haven't welcomed in a long time? I haven't welcomed my trolls. I haven't welcomed my trolls, and I haven't welcomed my spies and even detractors and haters. I haven't, but I'm going to do it now. I welcome you too, because I know you're going to learn something too. And I know you're entertained. And that's all that matters. So I want everybody to know that I'm excited to be here this evening. The link is definitely going to be in the chat. Matter of fact, I'm going to post the link right now. If anybody want to come on the panel, let's talk some boxing. Let's talk some business of boxing. I was trying to pin it, but I'm having some issues with pinning it. So momentarily, you'll see it in the chat. And not only that, I'm going to also periodically make sure that link is in the chat. So I just want to make sure that we are all clear. Come on up. It's an open panel tonight. As most nights here on the live broadcast, you are watching live the Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. Please don't ask what episode this is, because episode unknown. I have to go and count my lives, from the time I start using the word podcast to see what episode this is. But I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm sure you are as well. Let's start off with talking about the fight that's coming up in a few weeks. We can't forget about this fight. This is a huge fight in the lightweight division. All the marbles are going to be on the line. Devin Haney versus Vasyl Lomachenko. And here's the thing, this is a good fight. This is going to be a good fight. I really want to know what you all think of this fight in the chat, because I know that people been saying that Lomachenko is going to beat Devin Haney. Then you got some other people that believe that Devin Haney is going to beat Lomachenko. Then you have some people that says that if Devin Haney wins against Lomachenko, he got to just basically knock him out and look extremely, extremely impressive to make an appeal to Tank Davis to fight him next. Then you have some people that says that basically Lomachenko is going to find the chinks in the armor of Devin Haney and expose them. We have so many different schools of thoughts in the chat. Please tell me what you say about this in the comment section below. If you're watching the replay of this live, what say you? We keep on hearing all of these, different theories of how this fight is going to go. Tell me in the chat, what do you all think about the fight? Let's start there, because we're a matter of 3 weeks away from this fight. What do you think about this fight? Salute to you, Jackie Hernandez. I see you in the chat, and I want to say this because Jackie just got here. Even if you're not in the chat and you are a woman and you are engaged in the live right now through viewership, I want to say this Thank you, women, all the ladies in the chat. And if you are not in the chat, I welcome you as well. Thank you for your viewership and your support, not just to me and this channel, but also to the sport of boxing. You know, I always carve out a small little piece of my live broadcast periodically throughout the evening to acknowledge the ladies. Okay. All right. Now, moving right along, what do you all think about this fight? May 20th, Haney, Lomachenko. Now, somebody in the chat, I got to post this, right? Because I think this is, you know, something that we can talk about. If Devin does not stop Loma, I got Loma winning by clear split decision robbery. Those were the words of my guy from Alaska, Cash Crypto. That's, um, I didn't mean to post that one, but so what? So there's another school of thought, and this is segueing me into talking about what Cash is saying. And I don't know if this is why Cash Crypto is saying this. I'm just telling you what we're hearing with our ears to the street. We've been hearing that Bob Arum really wants Lomachenko to win and receive all of the titles. Why? Because this is Devin Haney's last fight in the 3-fight deal that he signed with Top Rank. And we got to see. We got to really, really see if that's true. And the only way we will see if that is true, well, I wouldn't say the only way, but I'll say one of the ways that we'll see if that's true, if there is a robbery in this fight where Lomachenko actually loses, but he wins on the scorecards. That's when something is not right. But we don't want to jump to conclusions, right? We don't want to make those type of assumptions. We just want to make sure that this is a good fight. And we don't hear a lot of press going on over the social media platforms on YouTube talking about this fight enough. And so I wanted to make sure that we get a little ear frying on this fight. Yeah, we can talk about if Devin Haney wins, is he going to fight Tank next, and all of those great things. And I'm sure that was a part of some of the talking points we've used on a panel here in the past. But I want to make sure I just key in on this fight because we don't want to think past this fight as if this is going to be a whitewash, basically, for Haney or a whitewash for Lomachenko. I mean, because both of these guys are very, very talented. Um, I already said it publicly, not just on this channel, but even on AM Sports Media's channel as well, who I thought was going to win. And I'll say it again tonight. I'm not going to go into that portion just yet. We will momentarily. But let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. Lomachenko is getting a second opportunity. Let's be honest. Let's keep it 100. Let's keep it in mind. He's getting another opportunity here. Remember, he had the belts first, and then he lost the belts to Teofimo Lopez, right? And then Kambosos beat Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos, right? And then Devin Haney, who had the WBC strap, he beat Kambosos, not once, but twice. And now he has all of the major sanctioning bodies titles as the undefeated lightweight champion of the world, right? So let's keep that in mind. Let's also keep in mind that this is Devin Haney's last fight on Top Rank. So those two factors alone needs to be acknowledged. Now, on the flip side of that coin, Lomachenko, he's 36 years old or something like that. I think he's 36 or 37, right? I think he's 37, 36 or 37. And the thing about it is, by him being on the the latter side of his career, I believe that his 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 footwork and his positioning isn't as spectacular as it used to be. Oh, somebody said in the chat that he's 35. I apologize for that. 35. It's not as spectacular and accurate as it used to be. So because of that, I don't think that the way that he gets to the fighters closing in the distance, I don't think that he'll be able to do that as well as he usually do against Haney because of his age, because he's slowing down, and he has slowed down. That's a fact. And not only that, because of the skill set of Devin Haney. So we got to look at all elements involved to determine, is this going to be an entertaining fight, or not? Or it is going to be an entertaining fight and the wrong guy is going to win, or the right guy is going to win. All of these elements must be acknowledged, because I hear a lot of people talk about who's going to win, but they don't really talk about how. And of course, Bob Arum is betting on Lomachenko. Absolutely. Why wouldn't he? I mean, think about it. He's promoting Lomachenko, and basically, if Lomachenko wins, hey, all the titles stay in house with Bob Arum, while Devin Haney leaves the promotion. So, I think it's interesting though that business wise, see, this is the business perspective of it all, that Lomachenko is even having another shot at not just one or two titles, but all four of the titles, right? And that's important. That is important. And I'm going to tell you why that's important. And I've been saying this since the first day that I started this channel, and I'm going to say it all the way again right now. Good representation in this business is priceless. Have you ever heard me say that before? I know you have, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll to Take film crew. But that's the truth. And because Lomachenko has good representation, who has made constant investments in his career that put him in the position not to become a unified champion in one division in 130, but now to come up to 135, hold multiple titles in this division, lose the titles, then turn right back around a few years later and get another shot at not just one, not just two, but all of the titles. Isn't that amazing? And so that's good business, good representation. And I think that's what this thing is all about. This whole thing is about Bob Arum putting his fighters in a position to be able to make not just good money, but also to be in a position to hold all of the hardware in the promotion's stable. Because don't forget, Teofimo Lopez, top ranked fighter. Don't forget Kambosos, top ranked fighter. Don't forget Lomachenko, top ranked fighter. Don't forget, I believe Josh Taylor is also a top ranked fighter, and so is Devin Haney when he signed the 3-fight deal, top ranked fighter. And don't also forget that Shakur Stevenson is a top ranked fighter, and so is Big Baby Jared Anderson. So we have to keep all of that in proper perspective, because I always want to make sure that you understand the business perspective of the sport of boxing every time you come over to visit me here live in living color. And so when you mix all of those elements involved, we're in for a good fight. You have to understand how this business works. when it comes to promotion. And let me tell y'all this. This is important. A promoter is not going to invest in a fighter to lose money. That's not the name of the game here. So let's just put this in proper perspective when I say that. So if Lomachenko wins, you know what happens to his contract? You know what happens to his contract? Does anyone know what happens to Lomachenko's contract? If he wins these titles, what happens to his contract? Does anyone know? Absolutely, educated Jad. Absolutely. Extension. That is what happens to his contract. So, you know, that's what happens to his contract. And most boxing contracts have that language already injected into contracts prior to fighters signing. This is all standard practice in the business and the sport of boxing. So it automatically gets extended for an additional 2 to 3 years. That's what happens. So that that needs to be understood as well, because when you look at how it works, Bob Arum definitely is going to want to make sure that he and his promotional company not just recoup their initial investment, but also make a profit. And this is one of the main reasons why that standard language in contracts in the sport of boxing is prevalent, because it takes a couple of years just to build, a fighter from the ground up, or from, let's take Tank Davis as a clear example. Let's say from 11-0, right? I'm just using Tank as an example. You know, Tank Davis got with Mayweather Promotions and Al Heyman and Leonard Ellaby, right? When he was 11 wins, 0 losses. So, of course, Leonard Ellaby was going to be there at the press conference. Of course, Leonard Ellaby was going to be instrumental in negotiating the deal through Al Heyman and with Eric Gomez over at Golden Boy Promotions. Of course, I'm talking about for this Ryan Garcia fight. Absolutely. Because the promotion has made their investments over and over and over again. Why? To get a fighter. Let's use Tank as an example now, to a point where not only did they maximize his earning potential, but also make a profit. And then watch this, to a point where Tank Davis no longer has to be locked into a promotional contract with Mayweather Promotions. Once the contract expires, it's over. Why? Because Tank Davis has generated enough interest from the network. He has good representation, right? And so all he has to do now is use the GTD banner through his promotion company, of course, TGB banner in conjunction with them, get the deal from Showtime, get the pay-per-view arm, and guess what happens? He's a superstar without Mayweather Promotions banner under him. And so that's why good promotion is important, because once a fighter gets to that plateau, they reach that plateau where they really, really just need the network's money and not a promoter's money, they cut out the middleman. They cut out the middleman. And that's good business. And so in this case, with Devin Haney and Lomachenko, if Devin Haney's no longer going to fight on ESPN and Top Rank anymore, guess what happens? Guess what happens? He got to get him belts up. You see, he got to get him belts up. And so of course, by him having to give the belts up, he's got to lose those belts in the ring. So of course, Bob Arum's going to say, bet your house money, bet your mortgage money, bet your car insurance money, bet your money on Lomachenko. Because, of course, if Lomachenko wins, all the belts come home. And the contract must be automatically extended for 2 to 3 years. And he'll be able to, he, meaning Bob, and of course, Top Rank as a whole, they'll be able to continue to promote Lomachenko. They already have a deal with the network, ESPN, and then their fighter in their stable will have all of the belts. And then, of course, they can say, well, you know what? Since he got all the belts, shoot, we can have him fight Shakur Stevenson for all the belts. That's just business. That's how it works. You know? So I'm just using that as an example. I'm not, please don't run around saying manager Marty said that if Lomachenko win, he gonna fight Shakur Stevenson. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just telling you standard business practices in the sport because it's all about keeping the belts in-house. Want to know why? Because even if Lomachenko fights Shakur Stevenson and Bob Arum's mind as a promoter, it don't matter who loses because the promoter is going to win. Why? Because he has both fighters under contract. And this is why promoters keep the fights in-house majority of the time. That's just facts. So it's just good business, though. It's not a thing where, oh, this person ducking this person. No, that's just good business. So let's use this example. If a fighter doesn't have a promoter, doesn't have his or her own promotion company, it should be easier to make fights happen, i.e., Terrence Crawford versus Earl Spence, right? Crawford doesn't have any contractual obligation to a promoter, right? He's his own boss. His words, not mine. So because of that, that means that fights should happen very, very relatively easier because you don't have a middleman disrupting the negotiation process because this middleman who is a promoter wants to make sure that they at least recoup their initial investment and make a profit, and then they're negotiating with another promoter who wants to do the same thing and meet the same goals because both promoters and any business person in general always look for opportunities to mitigate risks, and that's important. And so in this case, if Devin Haney wins this fight, he himself will also become a free agent. Yes, he has Devin Haney promotions, but we already know this is not a secret that Devin Haney does not have a contract under the Devin Haney Promotions banner with a network. So with that being said, it's easier for Devin Haney to win this fight and have leverage when he leaves with the belts. So, yes, he will keep all of the belts and he can move on. He's not contractually obligated to a top rank after this fight. Now, I do have my preferences on what Devin Haney should do if he wins against Lomachenko. But I won't speak to that right now because we want to wait till the fight happens and we want to make sure that we have a clear winner. Then I'll say what I think the winner should do with their careers moving forward. We have been hearing, though, that this fight is going to be nothing short of Devin Haney leaning towards his right and getting caught by a couple of shots, throwing a few punches that have no power on them, and then grabbing, clinching, and holding. This is what we've been hearing. What say you in the chat? Do you think in the chat now, if you're watching the replay of this live, I encourage you in this broadcast, if you're watching this live on the replay, go in the comment section. Let's engage. I love feedback. Do you all think that that's how the fight's going to go? That Devin Haney's just going to walk in there, throw a few punches, fight off the back foot, and clinch every time Lomachenko get on the inside? Do y'all think that? Just a yes or no. I just want to engage the chat while we're talking about it. Do y'all think that's what's going to happen? Some of you? Some people are saying yes. Anyone else? Come on, let's talk about it. Yeah, some people are saying we're getting mixed reviews. That's why I love and watching the chat periodically, because we get mixed reviews all the time, and everyone's entitled to their perspective here. And we get some yes, we're getting some no's, we're getting some I don't believe that. Uh, Now I'm not asking is now listen, I'm not asking if there's going to be a knockout in this fight, or if Devin Haney's going to knock somebody out in this fight. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is Devin Haney going to throw a few punches and then clinch? Because that's what some people have been. I've heard certain people say that, and I've seen it in certain people's chats and even my own comment section. So that's why I'm asking. Please feel free to like this video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. I appreciate your viewership. If you want to make a contribution to the channel to enhance the audio and video quality of this channel and just the support in the channel in general, the link, well, not the link, but the Cash App is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to contribute. Salute to Jay Reddy. I'm not sure if Jay Reddy is here, but he did send me a Cash App. I believe it was yesterday. So I wanted to publicly acknowledge him. Thank you, Jay Reddy, for your contribution and your continuous support to the channel. I'm not sure if it's working. A couple of times before, it was not acting correctly. So if someone can at least refresh the super chat so we can make sure that it's popping, so that we could make sure also and ensure that your experience for contributing to the channel is not delayed. And I want to tell you in advance, I appreciate it so much. So if someone can be so kind and generous to refresh the super chat so we can make sure that it is working, and it is working. And how do I know that it is working? Because a couple of other times it was giving me some issues, but it is working. And one of the reasons why I know it's working is because my guy, Mr. Prag, thank you for your contribution to the channel, Mr. Pragmatic. And he says support for one of the best channels on YouTube. Thank you, Mr. Pragmatic. Salute to you. Thank you very, very much being a member of this channel. And Diana, thank you as well for your contribution and also being a member of this channel. If you are joining us live, I have said this earlier, but I noticed that the viewership has increased exponentially, right? I love that word, exponentially. I made a reference to it earlier. I can make a reference to it again, that I am going to include the link in the description of this video immediately following this broadcast so that you can join the channel. There's going to be a link that you can click on and you can immediately join the channel and get the perks. There's 3 different tiers. Once you click the link, you will see the perks that you will be offered exclusively only here live on this channel. Once you join the channel, much, much appreciated in advance. Thank you all for your support. And let's get back to this fight happening May 20th. I'm going to make sure that as time progresses, we continue to build on the hype of this fight. This is not going to be one of those fights where it's going to be boring, right? This is a good fight. I mean, you got to understand both guys are coming off of wins. Of course, Devin Haney has been extremely more active than Lomachenko in the last several years. But the bottom line is this is a good fight. Devin Haney has a very, very, very great jab, and he's going to be in the ring with a southpaw. And that's going to be another key that we have to look out for in this fight, because Lomachenko is a southpaw. But here's the thing. I've seen Devin Haney switch it sometime. So we don't know how he's going to come out. We're going to see. I think, personally speaking, that Devin Haney's going to win this fight. And I don't think it's going to be a very close fight. I believe Devin Haney's going to win this fight by a wide margin. I think that the jab is going to, disrupt the timing and the rhythm of Lomachenko, as he's got to basically work his way inside, because, of course, Devin Haney not only has the height and the size advantage, but he also has the reach advantage. And all he got to do is keep pumping that jab, taking half steps to the side, and then start throwing that uppercut around the middle. I don't see a lot of uppercuts being thrown by Haney, but if he does that, throw that hook behind the uppercut. Like I said, take them small steps to the side. Because everybody know Lomachenko fighting on the angle. We already know how he's coming. It's going to be a good fight. But the thing about it is this, though. Devin Haney, he cannot make some of those defensive mistakes that he makes against Lomachenko, because Lomachenko, he does make adjustments as time progresses in fights, and he start picking his opponents apart. That's what we've seen from him in the past, right? And the thing about Lomachenko is he starts relatively slow. So that means that Devin Haney has to go out there and he has to kind of use his size as the advantage to basically let Lomachenko know we in for a long night tonight. In other words, I'm not going to allow the momentum to shift and slow down as you're coming forward, Lomachenko. I'm going to bring the fight to you. I'm the bigger man. I'm going to bring the fight to you. And then in the middle rounds, I'll, do my 1-2 with boxing, moving a little bit, and then close the show out pretty strong. Because like I said, I don't think this fight's going to end in a knockout by either guy. But I could be wrong. It only takes one punch in boxing. I'm just looking at both fighters and their strengths and even their weaknesses. So this is going to be an intriguing fight. How much is this fight? $59, $59.95, $60 or something like that. So it's well worth the money. It's well worth the money. Don't forget, this fight is happening in Las Vegas on May 20th, and Devin Haney lives in Vegas, of course. So by right, he should have the hometown advantage. He is the champion. But don't forget, Lomachenko is bringing an entire country with him. And so that's where the money is going to be generated the most, because Lomachenko, he's definitely bringing the entire country with him. And speaking of that, let me say this, because I was just explaining this to somebody was it yesterday or Sunday? I think it was Sunday. Was it Sunday? Yep. I said it on Sunday on Angry Man Sports Media's podcast with Jason and Greg. I think a caller called in and we were talking, and one of the things that I shared with the caller, and you may have heard me say it on this channel, and I'm going to say it again right now. Devin Haney is also in that group. Remember that group I was telling you all about? Devin Haney, Terrence Crawford, Tank Davis, and Terrence Crawford. All four of them have at least one thing in common. Let me say that again. Four of those fighters I just named have one thing in common. And I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm talking about Devin Haney, Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, and Terrence Crawford. Let me tell you what that is. Look at their resumes. Facts speak for themselves. Their resumes show us that they generate the most attention, they generate the most popularity, and they generate the most revenue when they're fighting fighters from other countries. So if you look at all four of those fighters that I just named, and remember, they all four have distinct career paths when it comes to them being signed to different managers, no managers, and or promoters throughout the duration of their career. But you see the similar practices has been done, right? With regards to matchmaking. You won't find not one African American or black fighter on Devin Haney's resume. I could be wrong, but even if you found one, that's all you're going to find. You will find one on Adrian Broner's resume. In fact, you'll find more on Devin Haney's Devin Haney, more on Adrian Broner's. That's what I meant to say, Adrian Broner. You'll find more on Adrian Broner's resume than all four or all the other three guys put together. There's a reason for that. Okay. And so I'm talking about matchmaking. I'm talking about business now. Devin Haney, Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, and Terrence Crawford, they have that one thing in common. That's actually a good business practice. That's good representation. That's good business. That's what I'm basically getting at. They generate the most attention, they generate the most popularity, and they generate the most revenue when they're fighting fighters that are not from the United States of America. That's good matchmaking. Look at Floyd Mayweather's career. You see that? He fought and generated more popularity, more attention, and more revenue when he fought non-black or non-African American fighters. That's good business. Okay? So I wanted to make sure that we all understand that we might want to see Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson. We might want to see Devin Haney versus Tank Davis. We might want to see Tank Davis versus Devin Haney. We might want to see Tank Davis versus Shakur. But don't get mad or disappointed when you see something different. For example, salute the D-Town Boxing. I see you, family, in the chat. Salute. I welcome you, brother. Don't be disappointed when you see these type of practices happen, because it's still a business, even though we want the best to fight the best. I want to encourage you tonight. Okay? Anybody want to come on? It's an open panel. Links in the chat. Okay? But I'm just saying, don't be so disappointed, because it's still a business at the end of the day. So I want to encourage someone who gets disappointed. We all want to see the best fight the best now. But at the end of the workday, it's still a business. Okay? And so this is why you see their resumes the way that they are, because we want to make sure as promoters, we want to make sure as managers that these fighters generate the most revenue so that everybody at the table can get a slice of the pie. It's not personal. It's not racial. It's just business. Okay? Once again, let me say that because we have new viewers that just joined us live. I see the numbers of viewers. I see the numbers growing now. You just joined us. Let me say that last part again now, so we can all be on the same page when it comes down to education of the business of boxing. Devin Haney, Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, and Terrence Crawford, they all have one thing in common. Look at their resume, and the truth will be revealed. And what they have in common, if you just missed me saying this, I'm going to say it again right now, is that they generate more attention, they generate more popularity, and they generate more revenue when they're fighting non-African American or black fighters. When they are competing against fighters from other countries, that's when the magic usually occurs and it becomes good business. And you don't have to take my word for it. You can roll the tape on BoxRec and look at their resumes. It's just good business. It's not personal. It's not racial. It's just business. Why am I saying that? Because I said this on AM Sports Media's podcast or channel, rather, their live broadcast on Sunday evening. I said that I won't be surprised if if they produced Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz in the rematch, even though we want Devin Haney to fight Tank Davis, even though we want Shakur Stevenson at some point to fight Devin Haney. At some point, we want Tank Davis to fight Shakur Stevenson. Chicken Talk, what's up, brother? See you in the chat. Salute. Welcome, brother. Always a pleasure, man. So we want those fights to happen. We want the best to fight the best, right? But I can understand from a business perspective if Tank Davis fights Isaac Cruz in a rematch. And it's just because of what I just said about all four of those fighters having that one thing in common. Those four fighters, once again, if you're just joining us, because I see the viewership, oh Lord have mercy. I just love when the viewership is increasing. Oh my goodness. But I get excited about the support. I get excited to be able to educate somebody about the business. And those four fighters, once again, for all my new viewers that just joined us, Devin Haney, Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, and Terrence Crawford, they all four have one thing in common. Dub right side, I see you, brother. I see you, brother, in the chat. Salute to you. Welcome, welcome. I always get excited and I always acknowledge content creators if I see them in the chat. All right. Thank you all for your support. Content creators that's in the chat. Thank you for your support. And those four fighters, again, Devin Haney, Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, and Terrence Crawford all have one thing in common. And you won't find it on their resumes. And that is that they generate more attention, they generate more popularity, and they generate more revenue when they fight non-African American or black fighters. When they're competing against fighters from other countries. That's how they do it. That's good business. Why am I bringing that up? Because if you look at the 3-fight deal that Devin Haney signed with Top Rank, I said this when I was chilling with D-Town, when me and D-Town linked up, and I'll say it again. Bob Arum already knew. Salute to you, Judah Ben Israel. Salute, peace, brother. I see you in the chat. Bob Arum already knew what 3 fighters he was going to deliver to Devin Haney way before Haney signed that contract. And guess what? The 3 fights that Devin Haney signed for under the Top Rank banner was all non-African American or black fighters. That was done intentionally. It's business. It's not personal. It's not racial. It's just business. And speaking of business, since we're on the topic of talking about business, you know I got to do this. You know I got to show my face. I can't do a whole live stream and just not show at least one time I got to show my face. Oh my goodness. Speaking of business, right? We got to talk about it. We're a boxing family. We have to talk about it. You know, a lot of times we don't want to talk about certain things that go on in boxing outside of the ring when it's not favorable to our favorite fighters. You know, but here on the Roller Tape podcast with Manager Marty, we don't discriminate. We got to talk about it all. And y'all know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about. And I want your perspective on this. I do. I want your perspective on it because I think it's an interesting topic to discuss because there's so many different parallels into seeing different fighters get into legal trouble on a consistent basis. And it's actually a sad thing, but we have to address it. We have to acknowledge it. The link is in the chat. This is an open panel. Feel free to come on and join anyone in the chat. Anyone that's just watching this live, feel free. And I'm, really talking about the unfortunate thing that occurred earlier today, according to reports that we've, been reading and hearing about on YouTube. Most notably, TMZ Sports. They report on it as well as other outlets. And I'm talking about Deontay Wilder. Yeah, we're talking about Deontay Wilder. The thing about it is, let's talk about what happened. And I'm going to continuously use the word allegedly because even though Deontay Wilder has been charged, legally speaking, he has not been convicted. So I can't sit here and say he's guilty, nor can I sit here and say he is innocent. But I must definitely say allegedly because he has not been convicted in the court of law. So according to reports, Deontay Wilder was pulled over by the LAPD when he was driving in Hollywood, California. I think that was in Hollywood. And they pulled him over allegedly for having illegal tint. And also because of his license plate was obstructed by viewership. When law enforcement went to follow their protocol of course, asking for license, registration, and insurance, they smelled weed. That's what they said, allegedly, right? So, of course, that gave them probable cause to search Deontay Wilder's car. They searched his car. They found a concealed weapon in the car. They arrested him, and they went through all of the booking procedures. Of course, he made bail, posted bail. I think they said $35,000, and 5 hours later, he walked out of the holding cell. They are charging him with a felony, but we're hearing the fact that the gun itself was legal, but he didn't have a concealed weapon or concealed weapons permit to carry, right? So the gun itself was legal. This is what we're hearing. Allegedly. I use the word allegedly. In other words, is the gun was legally registered to Deontay Wilder. He just didn't have the CCW. Okay? Which is a permit to carry a concealed weapon. That's what that is. I don't know about the weed part. That's alleged too. But here's my thing, though. I got to speak on this. And I'm going to speak on it. Whether it was a gun registered or not, if you don't have a permit to carry a concealed firearm, why not hire a gun? Let me say it again. Why not hire a gun? Yes, I am talking about paid professional private security detail. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about homeboy security. We're not talking about that. I'm talking about being in a position to be able to afford hiring private, professional, experienced security detail. Why not? Now, if you can't afford it, I can understand. But you got to understand, as an athlete, as a professional, you don't have to be an executive to receive executive security detail. One of the responsibilities of hiring security detail, because I do it periodically, so I know, is to prevent things from happening. Right? We hire this type of investment to prevent things from occurring, including having contact with law enforcement. Because you know why? It costs you more when you be involved in a lawsuit, when someone wants to sue you civilly for a situation that occurred when you don't have security. If you come in contact with law enforcement, you might have the money to bond out, but you have to pay. You may have may have enough money to, you know, pay legal fees and hire attorneys and have attorneys on retainer. But the point that I'm making is it's going to cost you way more money in the long run than it would if you had private, professional, executive experience security detail. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to reconcile with throughout this ordeal with Deontay Wilder. At some point, though, when you are at a certain level in status, it's necessary. It's necessary. Now, listen. Now, I want to say this because somebody just asked me this in the chat. I didn't say I needed security. I'm not saying I needed security, as if to say that my life was being threatened or anything. Not at all. But once again, I'm talking about taking preventative measures in certain situations. I think is important. And I am nowhere near on the level of Wilder, a Tank Davis, nowhere. Financially, none of that. Status, nothing. I'm just saying it is a good preventative measuring tool to have so that you won't have to be in a situation like this with Deontay Wilder. And the reason I'm saying that part, let me be clear on that, because he did not have a permit to carry a concealed weapon. Now, if he had a permit to carry a concealed weapon, that's totally different. He wouldn't have been in handcuffs. But the fact that he don't have that, that's the issue. And the fact that him being arrested in the middle of the night, right? He invested 5 hours of his time he won't get back. And in the experience of being locked behind those bars for those 5 hours. And the experience of being away from his wife, his children. Don't matter what time of night it was. I'm just using this as an example. His bedroom, comfortable sleeping environment. He will never get that 5 hours of time back, nor any other subsequent consequences that he might face moving forward. Now, if he has a license to carry a concealed weapon in a different state, let's talk about that. By law, it's called reciprocity, right? Now, I don't know if Deontay Wilder lives in California or if he has a residence in California. I don't know. But let's say he didn't, and he still lives in Alabama. You must know the law as a licensee of a concealed weapon, right? To know what the reciprocity, in other words, is Alabama, right, may recognize individuals or citizens of the state of California with a license. But guess what? California may not recognize individuals or citizens of the state of Alabama. So if they don't recognize it, there is no reciprocity. That means by law, you will be held accountable. Watcher, I see you in the background. If you can turn your camera off, let me see your face so I can make sure that you are a real human being and you're not trolling. I'll let you on the live broadcast if you can hear me, Watcher. Yes, somebody asked in the chat, is it a felony charge? Yes, it is a felony charge. Absolutely. It is a felony charge. Yes. Hold on, D, I got you. D-Town, what's going on, my brother?
What's going on?
Hey, man. I'm good, brother. How you?
I'm doing good.
What you think? I mean, I know you just jumped on What you think about this whole Deontay Wilder situation right now, brother?
I guess we need to find out, see what happened. I heard you say somebody's a felony charge. I mean, I'm sure he'll get his lawyers to jump in and see what's actually going on. Or, I mean, I don't know if he did something or he just had a gun. It was a felony charge. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a small little recap. So allegedly, we have to say the word allegedly. Deontay Wilder was pulled over at 1:15 in the morning, and he was pulled over because he had an illegal tint on his Rolls Royce, and his license plate was obstructed. So it obstructed the view of the law enforcement. They pulled him over. I guess when he rolled his window down, when they was asking for his license, registration, and insurance, they allegedly they smelled a small. They smelled a strong marijuana odor. Of course, when they smell that, they gave them probable cause to basically have the driver come out the car, have Wilder come out the car, and they did a search. Obviously, they had to get his consent, but because they had probable cause, allegedly, they were able to search the vehicle. They searched the Rolls Royce and found a weapon in the vehicle concealed. So I guess it was hidden somewhere, but they found it. They locked him up. They arrested him because I guess he did not have a permit to carry a concealed weapon, obviously in the state of California. So that's what made the charges go from the misdemeanor all the way to a felony. He spent 5 hours in jail in the holding cell. You know how it go. And he paid $35,000 in bond. He was able to go home 6:20 something, 6:30 or whatever in the morning. The point that I was making was, if you don't have a permit to carry a concealed weapon, why not hire the gun? In other words, is to prevent you as an athlete, celebrity, high profile individual, instead of you being in the back of a paddy wagon and having to invest your time in a jail cell because you don't have the proper legal documentation to carry the weapon, whether it's registered to you or not isn't the point, because you can have a registered weapon, but it has to be inside of your domicile, your house, right? Not you carrying it around without the permit. Or without valid documentation, right? Why not hire the gun? Hire private, professional, experienced executive security detail to preventative measures to prevent any of these things to happen if you think you're going to be out at a certain time of night and your safety could be jeopardized being a celebrity. And the reason I'm bringing that part up is because, not my words, but Deontay Wilder's words himself on his Twitter account, as you saw on the thumbnail, that I created. Deontay Wilder said, "I'd rather be safe than sorry." The end. I'll stop right there. What say you, D-Town? What's your take on what everything I just said? Allegedly.
Well, like you said, that he should have had somebody who had the license to be with him. A lot of times people they overlook that because they have not been in trouble for a very long time. So people just have a tendency to be like, just overlook it and continue doing what they're doing, and then sometimes they catch up with you. So if you want to do things the right way, you have to do it the right way. So I mean, if that's hiring somebody to have a weapon, or you have your own license or permit to have a weapon, then you have to do it the right way. I mean, I can't argue with that.
Yeah, basically, I mean, that's facts, D-Town. I mean, we can't argue with it. Now, some people in the chat was saying, hey, Deontay Wilder, he's going to have a good lawyer. He'll beat it because, he's a celebrity. What's your take on that part?
I don't give a crap what kind of celebrity you is. The law is the law. I mean, the law, have a lot of money and lawyers backing them. You know what I'm saying? So whatever Deontay Wilder have is not enough. Not saying that he can't get a good lawyer, to help him out, or maybe could bring it down to a misdemeanor, whatever the case might be. But he's gonna have to spend some money, for a lawyer to be able to help him to. I mean, I don't think that he'll get out scot free. I just think that the lawyer probably can help him in some kind of way, and I mean, now you got to spend a lot of money. But like I said, the law is the law. And if the lawyer there, he understands the law. So it's not like the lawyer will come in there and start rubbing shoulders. I mean, they do have some lawyers that's cool with the judge or the DA. So, I mean, we'll see, but the law is the law no matter who you is. I mean, you got people that's on a higher level than Deontay Wilder getting locked up. So what it is what it is. I mean, I hope the best for him, pray for him, that he might come out unscathed or something less. But it's a reminder that we have to live by the law.
Yeah, there's something interesting. I don't know if Deontay Wilder has an attorney or not, but if I was Deontay Wilder's attorney, right, I would tell Deontay just like this, right before we even post bond. Let me let you know something. Don't make a public statement. Period. You're not doing no press conferences. We're not doing no interviews with the local, news media. We're not doing any interviews on YouTube, and we're not making any written statements on any of your social media platforms, whether it be Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, none of that. We're not making any public statements. There's a saying in the Miranda rights, and it goes like this. Detail, you was public, so I can repeat this because you said it on your channel. I have never spoke on it on my channel, but I will now because me and you both know what those Miranda rights are. Don't we, Detail? So they say these words: you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will. See, that's the part right, that will part right there. Will be held against you in the court of law. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you by the court. Mr. Brown, do you understand your rights? See that? I had a flashback, Detail. I remember them words. And so you understand those words, and most of us heard those words, and some of us heard those words with the cuffs about to get put on us. All I'm saying is we're not making no public statements. None. So when I seen the tweet where Deontay Wilder says, I'd rather be safe than sorry, the end, you're acknowledging that you violated the law when you say that. You are acknowledging that you're excusing your behavior and you're not remorseful. In other words, is even if Deontay Wilder, and this is what allegedly, this is what they said in the articles, TMZ Sports and the rest of the articles, that law enforcement made it a point to say that Deontay Wilder cooperated with them. He was being very nice to them. All that sounds good until they look on the Twitter account and then they see, Deontay Wilder says, I'd rather be safe than sorry, the end. See, you can't incriminate yourself at the same time is what I'm saying. If Deontay Wilder did not have the proper legal documentation to carry that concealed weapon in his possession, whether it be on his persons or in his vehicle, don't incriminate yourself by excusing the behavior and saying, man, it is what it is. I'd rather be safe than sorry. The end. Can't say that because as your attorney, as your legal representation, as your legal mouthpiece, I'm going to go in there and use the fact that law enforcement said you was cooperative, that law enforcement said that you were nice to them, that law enforcement said that you didn't resist arrest. We're talking about the LAPD here, and we know the history of the LAPD when it comes to certain black men. We know this already. We could go by Rodney King, non-celebrity, Michael Jackson, celebrity, O.J. Simpson, celebrity, Deontay Wilder, celebrity. Talking about black men is certain. I'm just putting that out there. I'm not saying, I'm not making any inferences of the LAPD. I just want everybody to be clear on that. Because somebody can misinterpret what I'm saying and say I am saying that the LAPD are corrupt, they're racist. I am not saying neither of the two or anything else. What I'm saying is they have a certain history. You see what I'm saying? So if you're nice to them, if you're cooperating with them, if you're not resisting arrest, it looks good on you. So as your representation, don't make me look bad by going on Twitter saying what you said. You see what I'm saying? That's just my take on that. Mike Harrison, one of my day one supporters. Thank you for contributing to the channel. Always appreciate you, man. Mike says, unless the person is Trump or looks like him, as D-Town stated, it ain't going to matter about your money or status. Can you imagine the accolades the arresting officers got around the police station for arresting Wilder? Those were the words of Mike Harrison. Thank you for your contribution, Mike. And so, to the point of, hey, listen, Deontay, remain silent throughout this whole ordeal. Don't say anything that's going to incriminate us, or the DA can misinterpret that tweet as you basically saying, so what? I got caught and I'll do it again. See, my job as your attorney is, it was just an accident. And my client is not going to do this again. And my client is a stand-up citizen. And my client has a fight that he's negotiating with, in Saudi Arabia. And guess what? My client received death threats. All kind of ways we can go in and represent you, but you can't go and make my job counterproductive by going on social media, making those type of statements, because then you incriminating yourself. What's your take on that, D?
You're right. I mean, at this point, he need to do everything straight and narrow, because these people, they like to make an example with people. They don't give a care about Deontay Wilder. They don't care about his money. His money go in the system. Once he get their lawyer, you have to start paying fees and all that. So they gonna get some of his money regardless. So they don't care about him. I mean, it's people that was richer than him. They got locked up or whatever. So like you said, Deontay Wilder, his lawyer, should have got with him and told him, hey, don't even put that's what that is. Don't even put that.
And that's a famous quote from you.
Don't even say it, Deontay Wilder. Don't say it. Oh, because I tell you one thing. I know how it is when you locked up behind them bars. And you start seeing those pictures of your family and stuff like that, and you can't get out. I mean, I spent some thousands. This dude will be spending maybe some hundreds of thousands or whatever. And no matter how much money you have, you don't want to waste that money on, legal fees and court costs and all that kind of stuff. So, Deontay Wilder, he needs to play it right.
And let me add this too, since you talked about legal fees. It's not just the legal fees for an attorney to represent you. It's after you receive a conviction, right? There are still restitution fees that you have to pay. Right or wrong, D-Town?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not trying to be no YouTube lawyer. I'm just saying I know the game. I know that I've been in the system. I know how it works. So I'm just saying, I understand how this thing works, and you got to keep your nose clean, especially when you have a certain status. You know what I mean? That's just how it is, because you're always going to be a target. Now, I'm not talking about from law enforcement. Let's be clear when I say target. I'm talking about from other people. So if you feel as a celebrity or a famous person or a person that has a certain economic social status that you're going to be a target, hire the gun. Don't carry a gun illegally. Hire the gun legally. And when things have to, escalate by the gun, meaning the security detail, the professional, you let them talk to law enforcement if something have to go down with or without a firearm. I'm just saying when they're de-escalating situations, right? When they're trying to prevent things from occurring as security, that's what their job is. I'm not talking about homeboy security detail. I'm talking about real professional executive security officers that are professionals, that this is what they do for a living. All right. You let them communicate with law enforcement. I don't care what happens. You let them do their job. But if you don't hire them, if you don't have them around as an investment, you end up in certain situations like this.
Even when people go out to the club and get drunk, they need to have somebody that's able to drive them to the house. You know what I'm saying? So if and a lot of times we get comfortable. That's what happens.
Yeah.
We get comfortable. Nothing happened in 4 or 5 or 6, 7 years, and they go off and continue doing what they're doing. And at one time, it sets you back on track and have you, back focusing. Like, hey, it was a blessing that I got away this long, or whatever the case might be. But you have to do it the right way, especially when, when the headlines is talking about you, as far as being a role model, being an icon, being the sport of boxing. I mean, people are looking to already try to down you because they don't like you. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you just have to, and like I said, I know we ain't perfect. I know we are not perfect, but the deal is we have to do things the right way.
Yeah, and I mean, and to that point, look at Gervonta Tank Davis. Don't forget he has a court case coming up this month.
Yeah.
And then he got to deal with that. Once again, not having proper detail with you. It's just important. It really is important. Now, somebody in the chat said that as long as Deontay Wilder was not in the act of committing a crime, he will be okay. Well, that's when the charges get escalated. So we're not talking about him committing a crime in the act. The bottom line is he committed a crime, allegedly. Allegedly. That'd have been a whole different story had he, got caught with it in the commission of a crime. Bottom line is, if you don't have the legal documentation for it, hire the people that do when you have that type of status of a Deontay Wilder.
And his lawyer gonna look at it. He's gonna dissect it. He's gonna look at it if the police had proper cause. And I know them saying that they smell marijuana. I think I seen my brother in there, Mr. Pragmatic, was saying that the police always use that line about smelling marijuana. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure that if Deontay get him a solid lawyer, they're gonna dissect it and look at it and see if there was any reason for the police to stop them, which is started by the tent being dark. Then after that, it started by smelling some kind of marijuana. So, I mean, just right there, you have probable cause.
Yes.
But, the lawyer will go in there and see what else here and there, or whatever the case might be. So just right there, the police is in the right, regardless. I mean, if he had tinted windows and the police did not smell any weed, then they didn't have no reason to search the car because you stopped them, as far as the tent. And I know a little bit about the law because I kind of study it. So if you stop them, as far as the tent, that's far as it should go, unless if you have further probable cause, and that's smelling the weed. If you didn't smell the weed, then it should have been just a ticket and gone on by your way. And the police, it's a certain time, that they have to have you pulled over for a traffic ticket. So I think it's around about 10 to 15 minutes or something like that. And they cannot exceed that. And if they exceed that for a traffic stop, or far as, your tinted windows, then they could drop the charges. But by them having more probable cause after seeing the tinted windows, they gave them more probable cause to be able to prolong it and to go further into searching.
That's exactly correct. And everything you said was spot on. And here's how the attorney can challenge that. So, of course, people in the chat were saying the police officers always say, we smell weed, right? Somebody in the chat also said that isn't weed legal in California? Weed might be legal in California, but here's where it becomes illegal. When you're operating a motor vehicle, that's when you start crossing the legal threshold. Yeah, you can probably smoke the weed in the state that is legal on your porch in your backyard, but you cannot do it while you are operating a motor vehicle. That's a DUI, right or wrong. So that's the thing. So now, if they have probable cause and I'm his attorney, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to request what? What do you call those two words? There you go, the body cam footage. Body cam. That was the two words, body cam. Because I want to hear y'all say license, registration, and insurance. I want to hear y'all say that. And then I want to hear you say, I smell something. It smells like marijuana. Mr. Wilder, I'm going to need you to step out the vehicle, right? After they go to the cruiser, check him out, make sure he has no warrants. We know the protocol. Then they come back. I'm going to need you to step out the vehicle. I need to see all of that on the body cam. And guess what else I'm going to need that's booked in the evidence? The same marijuana you claim you smell. Because guess what? That don't mean my client smoked that. His cousin probably been in the car smoking that while he was driving and he got out. When the cousin got out, the smell stayed reverberating in the car. I can't stop that. My client was driving. He wasn't, in other words, he wasn't operating the vehicle while he was under the influence. So those are the things that, as an attorney, they would challenge that. Because if we find out that y'all had no probable cause, it don't matter if you did find a gun illegally. You got to throw the case out. Right or wrong, D?
And also too, Manager Marty, if they're able to smoke weed but not drive and smoke weed, then that would be the driver. You know what I'm saying? So if the passenger, if it's legal for them to smoke weed and the passenger is smoking weed, but the driver can't, then they might have to have proper cause if the driver was smoking it, because if the passenger is smoking it and not the driver, they really don't have no evidence. You know what I'm saying? That's just like when they pull over the driver and they ask the passenger for his ID, they can't ask the passenger for his ID because he's not the one driving. Your call is with the driver. So like I can say, I don't know how the law is, but if the passenger is able to drive, I mean to smoke, and the driver not, then they have to. If they don't have no evidence that the driver was smoking, then something might happen. Right there.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying I could build a case around that as an attorney that my client wasn't the one that was blowing. You know what I mean? Operating the vehicle, right? But the thing is, you smelt it. Now, like you said, D, they smelt it. If that's true, allegedly, they smelt that. You just gave them probable cause on that. Now you know you got to step out the vehicle. Now you know you're gonna have to step out. You gave them probable cause for you to step out, and they got to do a search now. Don't let them find a gun. Now you done escalated the charge at this point. So once again, you have enough money. You can listen. Here's the thing: you can actually pay a driver. I'm not saying as a celebrity you can't drive. What I'm saying is, if you know you out 1:15 in the morning, you know you've been blowing, or you know you've been around people that's doing it, whatever the case is, get you a driver to drive that Rolls Royce. Get you executive security detail around. It's just certain things that can prevent all these things from happening, is what I'm saying. Even if it's just a slap on the wrist. Because as an attorney, I'm going to tell them like this here. You already know who my client is. Former heavyweight champ of the world. He never been in any legal trouble. So you got to give me a little leeway just from this being his first offense from the rip. But why do we have to go through all of that? All of this stuff could have been prevented.
Yeah. I mean, I think that by him having that lawyer, and like I said, you got to see who the judge is and who's the DA. I mean, they might be in a good position to where he might not have to do no jail time. He might just get probation. You know what I'm saying? So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you just got to see.
And a hefty fine, because you know there's still a business at the end of the day.
And some of those judges and DA don't mind being paid off. You just gonna have to give them some of that yin yang, that money. They might just turn around and say, "We ain't seen nothing." You know, I ain't seen it happen.
Yeah, me too. But or they can say, you know what, we ain't see nothing happen, but we gonna make sure the public see it because it brings so much press, it brings so much publicity, right? It brings so much media attention to this courtroom, to this city, to this state. You know what I mean? And then we can generate, a lot of revenue from it because why? We're gonna need more policing now. So now there's more tax money that got to be. We're gonna need more of this now. We're gonna need this. This it's a business. It's never personal. It's just business.
Yeah.
So in the chat, what do y'all have to say about the things that you've heard me and even detail speak on about this matter legally? Anybody in the chat? Let's speak on it. Let's engage. Someone said in the chat, Mr. Prag said it himself. I wish Errol Spence would hire a driver. Me too. Me too. If you're gonna be out and you're gonna be having a good time, or at least what you think is a good time, and you're gonna be drinking and you know it's gonna impair your judgment, get somebody to drive you. Y'all have the resources to do it. Now, if you didn't have the resources, then you can go ahead and call an Uber or a Lyft or something like that. But I'm just saying, like, hey, get you a driver. Get somebody that you trust to drive you. If you can't afford, I'm not saying Spence and them can't afford it, but you understand what I'm saying. You know, that's how it is when you at that certain level, or if you're not even at that level like them, but you are at a level where you could use a little bit of that preventative measure. I heard this line years and years ago from Rick Ross. This is a long time ago, man. I was listening to this song. I was in somebody's car. They was giving me a ride home. This from work. This is I'm talking about years ago. And Rick Ross has said, um, 5 different lawyers. Lord, know I'm stressed. A punch in the face to get you 300K. It's like that stuck out to me when I heard him say. I don't know the rest of the lyrics, but those lyrics stuck out to me, and it's like, wow, like just for him punching someone in the face, even if he's defending himself, they gonna run and file $1 million lawsuit. He gonna probably settle for 300,000 out of court. Why go through all of that when you got the right professionals around you to prevent those things from happening? I guess that's the whole point that I'm making. You know what I mean? And yes, Mr. Pragmatic, let me clarify that. The reason why he said it about Errol Spence, he's clarified it in the chat, is because his words, not mine. Mr. Prag says, I meant that because of all the car accidents he's been in. That's what Mr. Prag was talking about when he said he wishes Errol Spence Jr. gets him a driver. Salute to everybody in the chat. Thank you all for engaging. Let's work back just one step before you got on the platform here, and even on the chat. I was talking about Devin Haney against Lomachenko. I had said 4 names. I don't know if you heard me. I'll say it again for the new audience. Devin Haney. I could add Shakur Stevenson in that too. I could ask Shakur Stevenson in that too, but I'm going to stick to these 4. Devin Haney, Adrian Broner, Tank Davis, and Terrence Crawford. They all 4 have one thing in common. You and I spoke a little bit about this when I made you aware of it as well when we linked up a month ago. They all 4 have something in common. And what they have in common helps them generate more popularity, helps them generate more attention, helps these guys generate more revenue. And that is the fact that they compete against non-African American or black fighters. Look at their resumes, not me just saying that. That's done intentionally to maximize their earning potential. And I was speaking on that because we see Devin Haney fought Kambosos twice. Now he's fighting Lomachenko. We see Tank Davis. He fought Isaac Cruz. He fought Leo Santa Cruz. He fought Garcia.
Mario Barrios.
Mario Barrios, and I was talking about Hector Garcia first, and now Ryan Garcia. You see that? Last 5 or 6 fights, you see? And so that's done intentionally. Terrence Crawford, same thing. Of course, he fought Sean Porter, but even before that, you know, you can't find him fighting too many. Adrian Broner, we can't find him fighting too many African American or black fighters. Devin Haney, can't find him fighting not even one. That's done intentionally. And so I was trying to explain that piece of the element of the business of boxing, of how it's easier for African American talented fighters to generate more popularity, more attention, and more revenue when you allow them as a promoter to compete with other nationalities opposed to their own. So even though we want to see Shakur fight Devin, we want to see Devin fight Tank, we want to see Tank fight Shakur, the bottom line is it's still a business at the end of the day. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tank Davis fight Isaac Cruz in a rematch. Don't forget, Isaac Cruz was at that fight with him and Ryan Garcia. I seen him on TV. He was there. So my point in saying that is, yeah, it's going to disappoint us because we really want to see the best fight the best. But don't be surprised or too disappointed if that happens, because it's business and it's never personal. What's your take on that, bro?
I mean, Eastside Cruz is a tough fight too. No matter what no matter what people say, I mean, that's a little Tasmanian devil. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, like you said, at the end of the day, it's about business. Ain't nobody here to lose no money. If I find out that I can do it this way and get money, I'm gonna continue doing it. That's just like Earl Spence. He said, I don't have to box. I could fight this way because it's working. So what's the point of changing it? So the promoters understand the business of boxing. They know to make money at the end of the day. So if that's the route they need to go to make money and to maximize these guys, then that's the route they need to go. I mean, that's what a lot of fans want to see. Now, I know us, we want to see the best fight the best. We want to, and right now as it stands, it's a lot of African Americans, fighters that's the best. I ain't saying only, but I mean the names you just named, I mean African American, you know what I'm saying? So I mean that's just what that is. I mean I don't know what Canelo gonna do, and I know that's a whole different topic. But he said he not even gonna fight Hispanics no more. So I mean, and I don't even think he fighting blacks. I don't know who he gonna fight, But like you said, that's just what that is.
That's just what that is, your words. And here's the thing about how they can market Isaac Cruz. They can market that fight. And I said this on AM Sports Media platform on Sunday. They can market that fight by saying, hey, Tank Davis might have 28 knockouts, 28 wins, but only 26 knockouts. But guess who was one of the fighters that never got knocked out by him or hurt? Isaac Cruz. So they can say that to market the fight. Like, hey, he one of them 2 fighters that didn't get knocked out. So why not put him in there again? And on top of that, he actually made Tank Davis do more work than we actually seen him do. Even if he had one hand, he still was fighting out the back foot. Isaac Cruz, listen, he ain't sweet like that. He come to rumble. So they can market that and say, hey, he's the pit bull for a reason. And we're going to match him with a big dog. You got a pit bull against a big dog. You got a pit bull against a German Shepherd in Tank. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, we're going to match these 2 guys up. He never got knocked out by Tank. So why not? That's how they can market that.
And I remember Tank Davis said that it was kind of hard for him to fight Pitbull Cruz because he was shorter. He is used to fighting taller fighters or fighters that's the same as him. But as far as fighting shorter fighters, he says a little bit harder because now he have to be the bigger man and have to think like a bigger man instead of him being small and going up under him. Now you got Pitbull Cruz going up under him. You know what I'm saying? So he did say it was a lot harder to fight a shorter person.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the great thing about it too, D. Even if, let's say, Devin Haney wins, it's still okay. Because at the end of the workday, these guys gonna fight each other anyway. Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, they right there. They gonna fight. Might not be right now, but they gonna fight. And here's the thing: if Tank wants to fight Devin Haney, and Devin Haney beat Loma, they'll fight right away. Tank's the A side. We already know that, and it's cool. Let these guys rumble. But at the end of the day, it's on Tank. Whatever Tank want to do, he the A side, and it ain't no mistake about that. And the only people that I think can mess that fight up, if it does have any kind of traction to materialize, is Bill Haney and Devin. So as long as they stay the course, and like I said, I'm not going to say what I think should happen because I want to see what happens in the fight between him and Loma, and then after the fight, I'll tell y'all what direction I think that Devin Haney should take. But I mean, I could say it earlier if somebody asked me. But you understand my point, D.
You know what fight I want to see, and I know it's not going to happen now because they have to build it. Since they have a lot of back and forth, is Frank Martin and what's
Keyshawn Davis.
Keyshawn Davis, because I did a video on it, but I know it's not going to happen because they try to build them up, like you said, the matchmakers that Bob Arum have, that was matchmaking Terrence Crawford and a lot of his fighters, of course, Stevenson and all the other guys. They're not going to put him in the ring with Frank Martin because, you know, they trying to build him up into be probably another Terrence Crawford or whatever the case might be. So, you know, that would be a nice fight to see, though. But I don't see it happening within this year or next year or the year after that. I mean, he probably have to have at least maybe 15 fights before that even happen, you know?
Yeah, Keyshawn Davis is still green. He's a little bit too green right now. So, and the matchmaker, his name is Brad Goodman. Over at Top Rank, and he's been in the business for decades. One of the best in the business, Hall of Famer too, by the way. And so, no, Keyshawn's a little bit too green. He is a good fighter. You know, I like Martin though.
Oh yeah,
that boy Martin a beast, man.
I mean, they could have put Keyshawn Davis in the ring with the guy that Frank Martin beat, Michael Rivera, but they're not even gonna do that because Michael
Rivera too experienced for him.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's the difference between a Keyshawn Davis and Lomachenko. Remember, Lomachenko only had what, like 7, 8, 9 fights? He was already fighting for a title. So you can't say, oh man, they discriminating against Keyshawn because they didn't do that with Loma. Loma got a whole country behind him. He's a wildly decorated and experienced amateur, and he know how to sell a lot of tickets. So it ain't personal, it ain't racial, it's just business. Keyshawn Davis is not a big ticket seller right now. It's good that he's getting the exposure. So Top Rank, they're doing a good job with the young man, giving him that exposure, you know, especially on the undercard of Shakur Stevenson, you know what I mean? So let it materialize, let him grow. Because let me tell you what happens in the business. When a promoter puts a fighter in there too prematurely, right? Guess what happens to the fighter? Lose confidence, lose more fights, lose more sleep, and lose the desire to train properly. And the promoters start losing interest when all four of those things happen. So you don't want to be putting fighters into big fights or bigger fights too prematurely, especially when they have a little bit of time to bring out that longevity. And so Keyshawn Davis, he's a good fighter right now, you know, up and coming. Look at the competition he's fought. The guys that he did those things to, he was supposed to. He was supposed to do those things. And that's why they had him there. They thought he was going to lose. For 1 second, that wouldn't have happened. And look at David Morrell. Same thing. He was on the undercard of Tank Davis, right? He was supposed to do that to that 36, 37-year-old. That's good. He's still green, though. I know he's calling out David Benavidez. He's still green right now. Not right now. You got to let these guys build up to a certain level. Then when it's ready, it's time to pull that trigger. Right now, it's just too premature.
You know, one thing that I noticed that a lot of the fans, they are pushing these fighters too fast instead of actually looking at the fighter. Instead of saying, well, I want to see this right here now. Don't get me wrong. I want to see these fights, but I know that Keyshawn Davis is not ready. I know this. So a lot of time the fans look at the fighters, be like, I want to see this fight. I want to see this fight. I make this happen. And they don't understand that you're pushing these fighters too fast, because you could push these fighters so fast you can end up hurting them. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, they can lose confidence, lose a desire, sleep, and all these kind of things. So you have to let these fights build up. I know we got used to seeing these great young fighters fighting like Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia, and you got Devin Haney, you know, against got the belts from Cambosis. Now you got Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Then now you got, I mean, you see all these things, and we happy. But we have to pump the brakes on a little of this because we can end up destroying some of these fighters if these fighters are moving too fast.
Yep. And man, that'll be a fight though. Frank Martin and Keyshawn Davis. That'll be a good fight.
If he can't get, if Keyshawn Davis don't have the power to make
Frank
what you
Martin.
call respect and Frank Martin respect. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I mean, I don't even think that Keyshawn Davis could beat Michael Rivera. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they're doing the right thing for him by just stir stepping him. Because I seen an interview of Keyshawn Davis saying that he said that I'm ready for Mike. I'm ready for Frank Martin. I'm ready for him. Tell him make the fight. But see, I know that he's probably saying this because he wants people to believe that he's ready and all these kind of things. I mean, it's cool. There's no wrong with that. But that fight ain't gonna get made, man. I mean, you might as well just direct your energy to somebody you're gonna fight. Now, there's no wrong with being in the making. There's no wrong with being in the conversation. I have no problem with that. But don't be like Terrence Crawford, man. And I heard claiming that you want these guys. You know dang well that Bob Arum was not going to allow you to fight these guys at that time. Now, like you said, it was going to become a time when you were going to have to fight them, but you end up leaving Bob, and now you went off on your own, and now the fight still ain't happening. So my deal is these promoters here to make money. They're not here to lose money.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Definitely here to make money. That's what it's all about. Because guess what? When a promoter make money, the fighter make money. Everybody wins at the table. Everybody wins at the table. You know, look at Rashidi Ellis when he fought Villian. They was the whole card was for all the A sides to win on that card.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody was expecting Villian to come in there and do that to Ellis. You know what I mean? So things happen. I'm just saying when the time is right, you'll get your turn. But if you ask for it too prematurely, you gonna get what you asked for. So just wait, be patient. You just got here. You just relax. You just got here. You gonna get there. You know what I mean? You just got here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because if you look at it, Manager Marty, you see you had Tim Bradley over there with Top Rank. The man ducked Mayweather and ducked Earl Spence Jr. when they made Earl Spence Jr. the mandatory. He always running his mouth. Then you got Terrence Crawford over there with Bob Arum, trainer Bo Mack. He was over there running his mouth, knowing that he didn't want to fight these PBC fighters. And you know that Tim Bradley was older than Bud, than Crawford, and they both dealt with one another. Now you have the same thing with Crawford dealing with Keyshawn Davis. You have Keyshawn Davis with Bob Arum, trainer Bo Mack, and dealing with Crawford. So that same energy is going to run through that whole side right there. And then I look at Earl Spence, I look at Charlo, and I look at Frank Martin. They have a different energy. Their energy is different. They're not going to do too much talking. They going to go in there and train. They want to fight the best. They're not just talking about it. They want it. So I see a difference in between both sides.
Yeah. That's a good point too, man. That's a good point. You know, they're gonna fight. All these guys, they are going to fight. It's all about timing in boxing because the money's there. But I mean, think about it. If Martin just beat um, Rivera, right,
Mm-hmm.
on a major platform, he beat an undefeated fighter, a guy who was being built up on that platform, Showtime. It wouldn't make absolutely no sense for him to fight Keyshawn Davis right now. Money wise, exposure wise, it just wouldn't make any kind of business sense. So even if they both called each other out, it just wouldn't make any sense. You gotta let the fight build up and materialize. Timing is very important in this business. And it's right now the timing is not good for Keyshawn to fight Martin. But he'll get his chance though. Not now. If he keeps winning, and that's the whole goal of the matchmaking these fighters the way that they do. Keep on winning, keep selling tickets, keep looking good on the network, and eventually you're going to fight the actual best. That's what that is, as you say, D-Town.
Yeah, I see somebody in the comments was talking about not allowing the fighters to fight and stuff like that, but it's not allowing the fighters not to fight. We just have to, take it easy because, like you say, you can hinder somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's like having a dog and letting your dog fight too young and end up curling him to where he's not a fighter no more because you should have built him up. You know what I'm saying? Slowly but surely, where he can have that. You know what I'm saying? Have that confidence in himself. And you could make one of these young fighters lose their confidence by putting them in the ring with a guy who already have confidence. I know Frank Martin is ready. I know the man can fight. We seen it. We ain't seen too much from Keyshawn Davis. And I'm not saying he can't become a great fighter. I like him. I hope he become one of the biggest stars over there on the top rank side. So it's no hate, you know what I'm saying, for Keyshawn Davis. We just got to take it easy because we're not the one fighting. We the one who just clicking the TV and watching. You know what I'm saying? Those guys are the one training. They don't want to have to leave their families. They don't want to have to put all their effort into it. And you don't want a fighter to be curled by putting him in there with a guy when he's not ready.
Absolutely correct. Salute to Dahlia. Thank you for your Cash App and your contribution, Dahlia, and your viewership as you are watching right now. Salute, Dahlia. Thank you so, so very much. Um, that's all it's about, because the thing is, not only does it hurt the fighter, but it also hurts the promotion. Because remember, I told you this detail when we was together. Every promoter has a vision for their company, and those fighters are part of that vision. And so, if you have a promoter who has a vision for each particular individual fighter, and this fighter lose, and they were promoted, to fight a fighter with higher caliber, and they were put in there a little bit too early and premature. Guess what happens to the vision of the fighter? It starts dwindling, and so now you'll start seeing a fighter who was a prospect overnight, just like that, turn into an opponent. It happens every day in this business. And so I say opponent because let's say if a prospect is 8-0, 9-0, 10-0, they get in there with somebody who's more skilled, more seasoned, more experienced, and that 9-0, 10-0, 11-0 fighter loses. All the four things that I told you will happen to that fighter, but here's where it gets a little bit tricky. How do we promote this fighter to bring them back in the rankings and build their confidence up? Okay, we're going to let this 10-0 fighter get in there with somebody who's 8-6. So what happens if the 8-6 fighter defeat that 10-1 fighter? Because that 10-0 fighter became 10-1. Now this 10-1 fighter turns into 10-2 fighter from an 8-6 fighter. Now who's 9-6? Oh well, we know what this is. Two back-to-back losses. You'll get a good payday, but you're gonna be the B side and you're gonna be the opponent. This happens every single day
Yeah.
in boxing. Thank you, Brock Howard, for your contribution. Thank you. I appreciate it. Salute to you, Brock. Brock says it happened to David. He meant to say Reed from my city, Philly, when he fought Tito Trinidad. Absolutely. These things happen. Thank you, Brock, again for your support, man. These things happen. And so when that happens, it's like, the vision is off. So now either this fighter is going to keep competing and making good money being an opponent, or they just going to walk away and never box again. So these things happen. D-Town, I showed you I won't say the fighters' names, but I showed you certain. It was a thing on BoxRec where a fighter was fighting that weekend. I don't know if you remember that when we were together, and I was showing you how. Let's look at this fighter's last 3 or 4 fights, and we saw that they were a prospect first. Remember, and then in 2 out of those 3 fights, took 2 devastating losses. Next thing you know, in this fourth fight, like that, how he turned into an opponent. Let me show you detail how that happens. Because this fighter now went from a prospect to an opponent. And in this business, just like in most sports, especially here in America, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
That's just what that is, as you say. Toon, thank you for your support and contribution to the channel, Toon. Haven't seen you in a while, Toon. Thanks for coming back, as always, Toon. Toon says Keyshawn versus Pitbull, Frank versus Jermaine, and Shakur versus Cam. We gotta mix it up. Ooh, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, Toon.
Pitbull Cruz go to man.
Keyshawn ain't ready for no Pitbull. He too not right now.
Uh-uh.
No,
You gonna get that man murdered.
not right now. Not now.
You gonna curl that dude.
Yeah, not now. That might not be. That might end that boy career. Get him in
Exactly.
there with Pitbull.
He get knocked out.
I like Pitbull. He ain't no joke, man. Frank versus Jermaine Ortiz. I can see that happening. Jermaine Ortiz, isn't he with what's the name? Is he with Bob? He with Top Rank? I gotta look Jermaine Ortiz up. I think he's with Top Rank. I could be wrong though. But bottom line is that'll be an alright fight. That's not ready yet either though. That fight's not ready to materialize. I will tell you this though. I wouldn't mind seeing Frank Martin get one more good fight in him and then fight Rashidi Ellis or fight, you know, the big boy up there, my guy Boots, you know, because he
Frank Martin.
147, right?
Frank Martin. No, he's down below. Frank
He's
Martin. He's not.
40.
I think
He
he's at
ain't
one.
35.
I think he's I think
Man, I
he's
got.
at 135. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I thought him and what's the name? Him and oh, you know what? I'm thinking about. I thought him and Martin was 147, so they 135 or 140.
No,
Him and
he
Rivera, not Martin. Him and Rivera.
yeah. Now they're at
They
135.
135. Oh man. Well, everybody telling me in the chat, I apologize. My son, they just be looking husky. I thought they was 47 when he fought Rivera. So they were small guys. That was a good fight too while it lasted. I mean, he dominated Rivera the whole fight, but so they 35. What's up with Frank Martin and Tank? I mean, he's African American, but and
I think that's a good fight right there, man. I
that's
mean,
gonna be that's
I think I can't even say Tank go win that one. I can't even say Frank Martin go win that one. I mean, they both got them hands. I ain't saying that Frank Martin has the power of Tank. I'm not saying that, but I mean he'll stock a little old thing. He get down.
yeah. 135 is lit right now, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody in the chat. Can you see that in the chat? Under the real deal? Do you know what he's I don't want to publicly say it if it's
He said, I want your comments on the last video in this channel, D-Town. Manager Marty, channel, name, Motorsports Sports.
I
Is
don't
that
know
the
what
one
he
you talking about?
huh?
Is that the one you talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what he's talking about. Motorsports Sports been on this panel several times. I think he's an avid Terrence Crawford fan. I don't know if I guess he's trying to say the channel's name is Motorsport Sports. What's our comment on Motorsport Sports channel? I've never seen Motorsport Sports channel. I didn't even know he was a content creator. I just thought he was a Crawford fan. I know he's been on this panel for a while. Is he saying that that's the channel Motorsport Sports did a video? It says in this channel. Oh, what are you saying? The real deal? What are you? Tell me what you're saying. The real deal. What are you saying about the channel?
He said, guys, I want your comments on the last video in this channel. D-Town Boxing Manager Marty, channel name. So I guess it's in the motorsport sports. I guess he want to comment. I guess in his channel. I guess that's what he's saying.
Oh, I didn't know Motorsport Sports was a content creator. I didn't know that. I thought that he was just a viewer of different channels because he came on this panel a couple of times talking about Crawford. I didn't know he was a content creator.
He said that his last video will make you laugh. So I guess there's some things that he said in his last video probably hilarious, probably didn't make no sense, or probably made some sense, but he said it'll make us laugh in his last video.
Oh, okay. Well, you know how it
Somebody,
is.
Keyshawn was smoke Cruz. Man, y'all boys, look,
This
I'm
ain't
gonna
gonna smoke no cruise.
tell you like this. I could tell, and there's nothing wrong with people having their opinion. I have no problem with that. So don't think. I hope they don't think that. But what I'm saying is, it's a lot of people that look at boxing out of a different eye. I think they looking at it out of their heart instead of out of what they actually see and what they know. That's just like I said, Manager Marty. When Caleb Plant and Dave Benavidez were going to fight, I said I would give Caleb Plant the early rounds and give Dave Benavidez the later rounds. And what happened? He had the early rounds, and Dave Benavidez had the later rounds, and ended up beating. And even with Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis, I said that I believe that if it goes the distance, Ryan Garcia will win, and if it's by knockout, it'll be Tank Davis. I look at things realistic by what I see. I watch these fighters. I'm not going by me just guessing or assuming or this is what I want or whatever. I don't do it like that. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why I look at these fighters, even with Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, even with Charlo, you know what I'm saying, and other fighters. I look at the fighters. I'm not looking at it by being biased. I'm looking at it, you know what I'm saying, of what the information that I collect, the data that I collect, and I put it together. And majority of the time, it makes sense. Not saying I can't be wrong, not saying that, but what I'm saying is that Pitbull Cruz is a different beast. All that old flashy stuff that Keyshawn Davis doing, Pitbull Cruz ain't trying to hear none of that. He's coming in for the kill. So it ain't good for that dude getting that ring. I'm telling you. So that dude, just like Frank Martin said, I seen this video today. It wasn't a video of today, but I seen a video. He said that if I get in the ring with Keyshawn Davis and I beat that dude, they would not give me my credit. And that's true. That's true.
Yeah, he's too inexperienced right now. Yeah. All right. Well, somebody in the chat asked us, how do we see? I don't know if they're asking us or the chat. How do we see the Haney Loma fight unfolding? I guess we could definitely try to end it on that note. I'll go first. D-Town, you can go after me. I will tell you right now, I believe that Devin Haney's obviously going to win the fight. That's what I believe. I believe Devin Haney's going to win the fight. I believe because Devin Haney's the bigger guy, he's going to use his height, he's going to use his weight, and he's definitely going to use his reach to keep pumping that jab. I would like to see him throw combinations to the body, slow Lomachenko down, because we know Lomachenko like to fight on angles. I believe that Haney will basically make this an impressive win, not a close back and forth 50-50 fight. I think he's going to be a clear winner by decision. Of course, I don't think either guy is going to knock each other out. I do think that if Devin Haney don't work on certain defensive technical flaws that he always have, especially after throwing that jab and landing that right hand, and the way he slipped those punches, he might get hit more than he's used to getting hit. But I just think that he's going to control the distance in the fight, and I think he's going to, come out victorious by a landslide. I don't think that he's just going to walk straight through Loma for 12 rounds. I think Loma he going to put his thing down. He's going to get the Haney a little bit, but it's definitely not going to be enough to beat Haney. And I think it's going to be a good fight overall from two of these guys who are very talented. Loma's on the latter part of his career, but anything can happen in boxing, and we shall see. What's your thoughts on the fight?
First of all, I know Lomachenko is not a joke. That's straight like this. And if Devin Haney don't do what he's supposed to, then we seen when he got touched on that chin, he had the stanky legs. You know what I'm saying? So I believe I would give the edge to Devin Haney by being taller, having a longer reach. But Devin Haney gonna have to keep everything tight because Lomachenko, that dude could come with it. I'm talking about when he's coming. I mean, I seen what he did with Teofimo Lopez. Even though that Lomachenko came, started late, but when he cranked that engine on, he was tagging him. He was coming back. So Devin Haney gonna have to listen to his corner. You're gonna have to keep that jab. He's gonna have to keep moving around and make sure he stay tall with it, and go to the body, whatever. But he can't have his chin out there because Lomachenko don't mind trying to get past your guards or get past or slip your punches and come on the inside try to hit you in your chin. Because I'm telling you, he might not have that many fights, but that dude know what he's doing. So I give the edge to Devin Haney, but I wouldn't be surprised, if Lomachenko end up winning. But I say the percentage, I would say 60-40, because I believe that and the reason why I say that is because Lomachenko, he don't have that many fights, but he has, he knows what he's doing. So I would give 60 to Devin Haney. I would give 40 to Lomachenko, and I say Devin Haney will win. But I'm not saying that Lomachenko can't win because if Devin Haney don't go in there and do his thing, then Lomachenko might beat him. But I say I give it to Devin Haney.
Okay. That's a good assessment. We all have different perspectives. Some of us have the same perspective, but this is why we're here. We all have one thing in common, and that is we love the sport of boxing. Before I let you give the benediction, as I always call it on the channel when I see you detail, I want to say thank you for everybody that contributed to the channel. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for the chat. Thank you for engaging in the chat. Thank you so much for your viewership, whether you chose to engage in the chat or just wanted to sit back and just relax and enjoy the podcast. I appreciate your viewership. Tune in live and in living color here Friday evening. I want to say about 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, there it is, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time right here on the Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. On Friday night, we're going to have a good show Friday night, and it only can happen if you come, if you join us. It's going to be an open panel again. Friday nights usually have a popping panel. We'll see what happens. Thank you all for just joining us tonight. I had a wonderful time with you all. On Tuesdays, that's the calm day. I try to make sure at the beginning of the week we calm it down. But on Friday, we're going to turn the air fryer all the way up. I'm leaving on detail like I always do. Say the last words. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to all the viewers. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to everyone who contributed to the channel and supported us. Thank you one more time. Come see me again live in living color this Friday night, 7 o'clock. I'm gone. But I'm going to leave it in the hands of Detail Boxing. And to everybody, salute. God bless. Take it away, Detail.
First of all, I want to salute to all my sisters that's here. Salute to every last one of y'all because it's good to see the sisters in the comments on the channel. We appreciate y'all being here, letting the fellas know that we ain't the only ones that's here listening to boxing or have something to say. Salute to all my brothers. Salute to every last one of y'all. I look at every last one of y'all as my family members. No matter if you agree with me or disagree with me, I'm happy to see every last one of y'all. Believe me, this channel cannot happen, or my channel cannot happen without y'all. So I want y'all to understand and know that we appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. Just to see y'all in the comments give us great joy that we can be able to talk to y'all and y'all talk to us, be able to trade information. So that makes me happy, and I'm sure it makes Manager Marty happy. So I ask every last one of y'all, my brothers and my sisters, pray for D-Town tonight. Pray for Manager Marty tonight. I would pray for every last one of y'all. Salute to y'all. Love every last one of y'all. D-Town Boxing, signing out.